Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of MPJ New Rock Album Review Shows. Welcome to my wonderful panel, to Simon, to Trish, to William, to Dom, and to Pete. Welcome everybody. If you're listening to the show for the first time, we review all the latest rock albums, rate them out of 5, see if they get into our Hall of Fame, maybe even slip into our Album of the Year review show, who knows. Tetrarch is our current, which we'll be reviewing, and their new album, The Ugly Side of Me. Now, we're going to start with somebody you can never say there's an ugly side to them, which is, of course, William, because he's our pin-up boy. William, what did you think? What do you think of this album, mate? Was it your... I'm not quite sure if it... When I listened to it, I wasn't sure. Would it be your cup of tea or not?
I was a bit flippy on this one. I listened to it quite a few times, and I'd go between being like, "Oh, it's really cool." "Oh, it's just fine. It's quite average." I settled on in the end. It was a good album overall for me. For me, it seemed to get quite samey over a lot of the time. A lot of the choruses ended up sounding quite similar to me over repeat listens. Vocals pretty good. Not the biggest fan of his voice personally, but it was a really solid album. Very enjoyable, but it's not really something I'm probably going to go back to listen to a huge amount. It was good, but it wasn't great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, somebody who is who's not just good, he is great, and that's our Dom. Dom, what about? Have you heard of Tetrarch?
I hadn't, no, to be honest with you, but I enjoy this. It's really high energy, tight and punchy, heavy album, but punctuated with kind of a real poppy sort of sensibility. I think in terms of like trying to create hooks and giving, catchy songs and giving it maybe a broader appeal. So there's a kind of crossover appeal there that I think is really good. I think, they're at times seriously danceable, actually. Definitely, sing-along choruses and lots of energy. Synths and the programming going on helps make it something different. And I enjoyed it a lot. And then nicely interspersing with some really good techie guitar sections, and the female sort of lead guitarist is really awesome. Can't remember her name now. And some quirky solos in there. Live Not Fantasize, I think, really picked out some really great guitar pieces in there. Best of Luck, though, is probably my favourite track on the album, and I think it's been released as their single on Spotify. It's really uplifting, it's really powerful, it's kind of simple song in some ways, but I think is like the perfectly highlights the band, and has an amazing drop in it as well, which I really loved. So yeah, a great album.
Pete! Wasn't no screaming going on, Pete. There was no screaming in your face. How did that resonate with you?
That's, of course, not going to score any points. Come on, you need to scream in my face in order for me to be happy. Will gets it. Never heard of the band to start with. They're pretty decent, I'd have to say. Getting a lot of teenage angst vibes, which might tell you something about the audience they're going for. I kind of feel like they're very heavily inspired by Korn. I kind of, when listening to it, I was kind of like, yeah, I can hear the Korn in this. Industrial sounds, a little bit slow. Like I said, all in all, musically, it was quite decent. Easy listening, but the guy's voice, after around 3 tracks, the first 2 tracks, I was like, yeah, this guy's voice is pretty good. By the 3rd track, I was like, all right, I'm sick of him. I'm sick of listening to this man's voice, and in the end, I had to struggle really to get through the album because of that, because I couldn't just let go of that. But yeah, all in all, pretty decent album.
Cool. Well, somebody's voice we never get sick of, and that's Simon. Simon, what did you think of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, immediately the Korn analogy came up the second I heard that voice, and like the styling of it just sounds like they're just like a Korn tribute band. Not to disperse them too much, but yeah, it's definitely that kind of vibe. A little bit of like old school iOS Slipknot in there, but it's definitely like Follow the Leader, that sort of like early era of Korn. I really enjoyed it. I really like it. I quite enjoyed the band is very heavily carried by the vocals, I feel, which another band coming up later this month also is. But yeah, I really I genuinely really enjoyed this. It's very old school, good vibes. I thought it was really good. Yeah.
Cool. Trish, what do you think?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm going to keep this review short and sweet. This album brought me immense listening joy. There is no way anything ugly, see what I did there, about this album. It is gorgeous metalcore at its highest quality without being too aggressive. It has a great balance to it from beginning, drawing you into the end where you want to hit play again or check out one of their other two albums. This is another string to the Napalm record label, with this band on board taking them to the next level on their music journey. I really hope this album brings them all the success that they deserve, and I hope they tread UK shores, as I would love to see them live.
I thoroughly enjoyed this one. You said metalcore. I wouldn't describe them as metalcore though, but there was not screaming involved. I tend to agree with. There's a couple of things that I kind of viewed on negativity. I think his voice would annoy some people after a while, because it's pretty much there's no up and down. It's pretty much solid, kind of right the way through the kind of album. And musically, I can see where it gets repetitive in that degree. However, I absolutely adore the album, though. I found it incredibly immersive. I think his voice dovetailed the music, so it didn't annoy me, because I thought it dovetailed the musicality of what they were trying to do. That kind of really cool industrial sound. I almost kind of one of my favourite new bands over the last couple of years was White Raven Down. I kind of see some similarities in that sort of heavier industrial kind of sound as well. Absolutely loved it. I just found it. I could say, is this voice annoying me, or am I finding it absolutely hypnotic? And I found it hypnotic in that regard, because I think it just, as I said before, I just merged with the music so well, and it was almost like in perfect harmony with the sort of music that was being played. So I absolutely loved it. I thought it was an absolutely terrific album. Certainly made my album shortlist of the year from that perspective. But then, to be honest, the year has been amazing, and there's a lot of albums on that shortlist for me personally. So, okay. Right, well, let's find out. Shall it? Will it get into our Hall of Fame? Will it reach the golden halls? Will it even reach legendary status? Who knows? Who knows? Let's find out, shall we, William? We will start with you, sir.
A perfectly above average 3.5.
Ooh, pretty solid. Dom!
4.5.
That's high praise from Dom. That's nearly bordering a 5. Pete?
In one word, monotonous. In one, 3.5. 3 out of 5, sorry.
3 out of 5. 3.5, 3 out of 5. Simon?
I'll give it a 4.
Ooh. Trish?
I'll give it a 5.
There it is.
I'm going to go back-to-back 5s. I'm also going to go back for a back-to-back 5 there as well. I thoroughly enjoyed this album. Absolutely brilliant. Wow. Okay. So that got a 4.4, which is pretty damn stonkingly high. Congratulations. Hit our Hall of Fame. It's our 35th album of all time. It's in our current top 10 for our album of the year out of our 77 albums. It would, if we stopped today to pick out our album of the year, automatically qualify, but we're only halfway through the year, so I don't think it's going to hang in there. Who knows, it might even get a wild card. We'll find out. Congratulations to Tetrarch. Congratulations, what a fine album. No ugly side to this album, I can obviously, from that perspective. Pete, sorry mate, I forget to say we're dropping your 3, so your 3 didn't count. Alright, it didn't exist, didn't matter. He's frozen, look. I think Pete is frozen. Anyway, on that note, we'll go and get Pete back, and we'll say thank you very much. Pete, hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, do you agree or disagree with what we're saying. And goodbye to everybody. Tune in again for the next episode. Bye-bye.